Right, so what I want to do today is I want to give you some top tips on how to identify your major goals and, in essence, start with the end in mind, understand where you want to get to. Well, instead of that being a massive task that overwhelms you, is create those chunks of activity that you need to go after every day, week or month in order to achieve that major goal. So we'll start by giving you a little simple, just a few slide intro in terms of the principles of how you chunk down goals. And then the meat and bones of this video is all around how to tackle the UK Lake District Wainwright Challenge, which is 214 mountains in the Lake Districts, how you can achieve that challenge in 36 routes. So let's get after it. So for those of you that don't know me, Mark Crossfield, fundamentally my mission and purpose in life is to constantly seek to learn, grow and challenge myself. And fundamentally what I want to do along the way is hopefully inspire others to do the same. In essence, I want to help people help themselves achieve the impossible. So I've got this 5-step process that I've been using for a number of years in order to help you clarify what goals you're going after, chunk them down into manageable sections, and then from that, create a plan. Make sure that you are regularly checking in and celebrating successes along the way, but also then tweaking and fine-tuning to make sure you're always on track. For this lesson, we will be just chunking down. No, we won't. We'll be focusing on the chunk down section, just to give you a bit of an insight into what I mean. So, instead of just dreaming about a big aspiration or goal, what I want you to be doing is always starting with the end in mind. Understand where you want to get to as that big, hairy, audacious goal. So, as an example, I want to climb Mount Everest. You are not going to do that from day one. And actually, even if you said that to yourself now, depending on where you are within your journey, that can seem quite overwhelming. But what we must do is we must start with the end in mind, lock that big goal into the calendar. So for those of you that remember the days of you're in work, you had a big Sasco year planner on the wall. Fundamentally, what I've done along the way is I've created a digital version of that. I will identify a goal. I will make sure that's locked into my calendar. An example, put it in here. Bosh. You've then got in the marker of the sand to then work back from. So we want to take that on in August next year. That's week number X. You've got a number of days, weeks and months leading up to that. Fundamentally, what I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to identify the activities that's required to achieve that goal, but then chunk it down into weekly blocks. So, exactly that. Divide your large personal development goals into smaller, manageable steps or milestones, because actually that will eradicate overwhelm and it will mean that you are just chipping away at that progress, and fundamentally you get to the end result with less overwhelm and then just teasing in that progress. So fundamentally, the principle is start small and grow big. You identify where you are at the moment, whether that be you're a lazy bum and you sat on the couch all day and the first step is just getting off that couch, or actually you are doing a little bit of walking, but fundamentally where you want to get to is you want to climb Everest. You've never at this moment in time climbed a mountain. Take on a little hill. Take on a small hill or challenge. So let's focus it on now then the UK Wainwright's Challenge. For those of you that don't know, Alfred Wainwright, the late Alfred Wainwright, he'll always be known for his 7 pictorial guides to the Lakeland Fells. He was an avid fell walker and he hand wrote 7 pictorial guides to the Lakeland Fells. There are for those of you that don't know, there are 214 fells in the UK that make up each one of Alfred Wainwright's books. As you can see there, they're colour coded based on the area within the Lake District, whether that be north, far east, east, central, south or west. And there's a bit of a trend at the moment. There's a lot of people, definitely on Instagram, that are looking to take on the Wainwright Challenge. So I wanted to give you a bit of an insight into how I'm doing that, and in essence some tips and tricks along the way that you can then take on such a big challenge but break it down into manageable chunks. So, as I said, always start with the end in mind. If you have never done a Wainwright before, in essence you have 214 Wainwrights to do. They're broken down into around 30 Wainwrights per section. Let's take, for me, a manageable section, if you were to kind of go, right, all depending on who you are, what you're doing in life and how much time you can give up to that task. But for me, a general guide, 214 Wainwrights. If you chunk that down to 21 per year, that's a 10-year task. But again, that's all dependent on how much time and energy you can give to completing those, and fundamentally getting in the Lake District with good weather is always a challenge. So what we have here is we have a list of all those 214 Wainwrights per area, per elevation, and what book they're in. And after a little bit of research, what I've done is I've chunked each one of those down into 36 routes. 36 routes. So if you see there, 214 Wainwrights, 36 routes in order to achieve each and every Wainwright. I come across a guy called the Walking Englishman. What he's done is he's created all those 36 routes, which will help you tick off the 214. I've then transferred that to this list here. And to give you a live example, this is how I am embarking on the challenge myself. So, I grew up in the Lake District. I've ticked a number of them off as like single walks, but now I'm being really intentional to complete the routes. As you can see here, a very simple filter. You can then see which ones I've completed. So out of the routes I've completed 5 routes, 26 fells in total. And as you can see there, summary at the moment, I've done 60 Wainwrights out of 214, so 28% of the way there. And I've been walking in the lakes for the best part of 10 years, but never really been intentional around completing the Wainwrights until now. So the nice thing about this sheet is you can both log and track the routes you've done and plan them. So as you can see there, I've got some nice hyperlinks there. So take this beast of a one that I did in 2023. I've got a nice link to the Strava route for that run. 18 miles, 3 hours 40 minutes, and 10 Wainwrights ticked off. Absolute monster. So before I set off on each route, I plan that into my Coros running watch. So in essence, I download the GPX file, I upload it to my Coros, and fundamentally that navigates me around the route. What we can do, if you need them, is we can download the GPX files here. I can send them across to you, so just drop me a comment if you want to, if you want the routes. So for each ones I've done, I've hyperlinked those to the routes I've done. See there, it's pretty cool. And then you've got your pictures of when we did it. Just look at those scenes. Look at those scenes. I think the recent one we done pretty sharp here. This was actually last weekend. 13.5 miles, 5 hours, a lot of elevation in there. Just look at that. There's 1, 2, 3, all the way up, and 4 real tough summits. But again, look at those scenes. That's Helvellyn, Striding Edge in view as well. So again, let's just cancel the ones that we've already done. I've identified a number of routes that I'd like to plan next. So that's my plan for the next 12 months. Is I've got 4 routes. 4 routes. 20. What have we got here? 25 Wainwrights. Fundamentally, that's my target each year. 20 to 25 Wainwrights. Tick those off, and I should be good in about 6 to 7 years in order to complete all 214. So final summary, that's what I'd say to yourselves. If you're wanting to complete all 214, start with the end in mind. You know what the end goal is. Divide each of those 214 walks into 36 routes. And fundamentally then, the 36 routes are your building blocks to your end goal. So, thank you very much for watching. So I hope you liked that video. If you haven't done already, please like, please subscribe, and any questions you have, drop them in the comments. More than happy to help along the way.